Yesterday I was talking about how awesome Shakespeare is, and today I'm going to tell you how you can check out his stuff, because he's an awesome dude and you totally should, like, man. Hi everybody, it's Lydia here. So Shakespeare is awesome, I said that yesterday, and the best way you can see Shakespeare is on stage. Now obviously this is great and awesome, and if you're lucky enough to do that, then fantastic. But obviously for a lot of people that isn't possible. Theatre's kind of expensive and not everyone can get to the theatre and all that jazz. So here are a few of the best filmed adaptations that you can check out in your own home. Let's do this. So I've tried to pick adaptations which will be attractive to those of you who don't often watch Shakespeare, and hopefully will get you to watch some, because I know how daunting it is and I want to make it less daunting. So we're gonna ignore the Oliviers and the Branners for today, because however awesome they are or were, they're kind of overwhelming. So we're gonna stick with the more approachable adaptations of Shakespeare, let's put it that way. So I'm going to start with a resource which is possibly the best theatre resource out there, and that is Digital Theatre. This is a website which you can access anywhere in the world, and it allows you to download and rent theatre productions that have been put on here in London and across the UK. And there are some amazing productions on there, but there is a whole section dedicated to beautiful Shakespeare productions. It's pretty amazing. So not gonna lie, most of the Shakespeare productions on Digital Theatre are awesome. I would recommend checking them all out really. But if you're new to this and kind of don't want to get too overwhelmed, I would recommend starting with Much Ado About Nothing, the Carefree David Tennant production that was filmed here in London 2010, I think it was. It was an amazing production. I saw it on stage and it was awesome, and they have filmed it all and you can watch it all. They really play up the laughs. It's a modern day adaptation. It's really easy to understand whether you know this play or not, and it's basically about two characters called Benedict and Beatrice who basically hate each other, or at least that's what they like to think. It's a romantic comedy. It's basically the original romantic comedy, and it's really good fun, and they're both, David Tennant and Catherine Tate are really good in it, and I would really recommend checking it out if you're new to Shakespeare and you're a bit kind of nervous about starting, so start up there. Sticking with Digital Theatre, if you want to go in a kind of darker direction, not really into the romantic comedies, go for Macbeth. This has got David Morrissey in the title role, which most of you will probably know from The Walking Dead. He played the governor, and as you can imagine from that, he's quite a sinister, dark, brooding Macbeth, which sounds like an obvious, you know, thing to say because that play is quite dark, but I have seen hilarious Macbeths. Fortunately I don't think they were filmed, but he takes it in quite a dark direction, so I'd really recommend checking that out. And the final production on Digital Theatre that I'm going to recommend is the production of King Lear with Jonathan Pryce in the title role. Now I wouldn't recommend this if you haven't read any Shakespeare before or just are a bit nervous about starting with Shakespeare, because King Lear in general is quite a heavy play. I've seen it a couple of times and love Shakespeare but still find it quite overwhelming, so I wouldn't recommend it for your first Shakespeare adventure, but it is a great production and Jonathan Pryce is really brilliant in the role. There is also another production of King Lear which the RSC filmed, and Ian McKellen is in the role, and I saw this on stage a couple of times and it was incredible. He was just, I mean, he's an amazing actor anyway, but his Lear was amazing. That's a strange production, not gonna lie. It's set in like Russia or something like that. It's quite random, but it is a fantastic performance by McKellen, and it's got Sylvester McCoy in as well as Francis Barber. That's an RSC production. It's not on Digital Theatre, but just remembered it. I think there's a DVD. There is a DVD version of it because I know it was on TV a few years ago. So you can check that out if you're more into your Lears. Sticking with the RSC, there is also a production of Hamlet, which probably most of you have heard of, but it's got David Tennant in. That again is modern day set to some extent. Hamlet is one of those ones that even if you set it in the modern day, there are restrictions to how much you can adapt it to modern day, but it's got, you know, modern dress and everything. That is on DVD, you can check that out. It's not on Digital Theatre, sadly. If you want to go down the more traditional route, I would go with the Globe productions. Now some of these are on Digital Theatre, not all of them, so I'm just going to pick out a couple. These are all set in traditional dress. They are obviously all performed live at the Globe here in London, and I've seen quite a few of them and they're all pretty brilliant. So I'm just going to pick out a few of them. So I'm going to start off with the Henry IV / Henry V saga. For those of you who don't know, Shakespeare wrote Henry IV Part 1 and 2 and then did Henry V, and they follow on chronologically. Those two, Henry IV Part 1 and 2, are both on digital theatre. They've got Jamie Parker as Prince Hal, Roger Allam as Falstaff, who is amazing, and he won the Olivier for it, I think. Again, with the Lears, the histories are quite heavy going, or at least some of them are, so I wouldn't recommend this as like a first Shakespeare endeavour, but they're really good for getting an idea of how it would have been performed back in the day, and they are really well acted and produced. And Parts 1 and 2, Henry IV Part 1 and 2, are both on digital theatre. Henry V you can buy on DVD on other websites. The last traditional one I would go for is the Hollow Crown series, which was on the BBC 2 years ago. They did Richard II, Henry IV Part 1 and 2, and Henry V. Richard II I wasn't a massive fan of, but I don't really like that play. Henry IV Part 1 and 2 and Henry V were all really good. Jeremy Irons is brilliant as Henry IV, and Tom Hiddleston is great as Prince Hal, and then Simon Russell Beale is Falstaff, and he is Simon Russell Beale, so he's amazing. I think they're probably the most accessible productions of the histories that I've seen, or those histories anyway. The Globe productions are amazing, but they are quite, because they're so traditional and they're set in the Globe and everything, it's all very, it takes a little while to get used to. I go to the Globe quite a lot, so I guess I'm probably quite used to it, but if you don't go to Shakespeare or watch Shakespeare or read Shakespeare very much, they probably are quite overwhelming. So the Hollow Crown series is great for starting with the histories and being able to understand it. And they're really well produced, so I recommend them. And they're also doing a new series of them with various other brilliant actors, so yeah, look out for that in the future. There are obviously numerous other brilliant Shakespeare productions. I've tried to pick ones which will be accessible if you're not so into your Shakespeare, so I hope that helped a little bit. I will put all the links below for the things that I've mentioned. Just running down the list, the ones I would really recommend are Much Ado About Nothing, Macbeth and King Lear on digital theatre, Hamlet, the RSC production, which you can buy on DVD, the Globe productions, Henry IV Part 1 and 2 on digital theatre, Henry V on DVD, the Hollow Crown series by the BBC, particularly Henry IV Part 1 and Henry V, but you'll obviously get them all on one DVD if you buy that DVD. But that is it today. I will see you again on Monday with another video. I hope you enjoyed this video and hopefully will be encouraged to step out into the world of Shakespeare, because it's a whole world that you haven't yet discovered and it's awesome. Go check it out. Until Monday, I hope you have a good weekend and I will see you then. Bye!